All right, so I just finished watching Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2, Episodes 6 and 7, and wow, I don't really know how to talk about these episodes, but I'm pretty much just going to talk about them as if they were one episode. They were promising that this arc from here on out for the remainder of the season would be nothing but action-packed fight sequence, and so far we're off to an insane start to that promise. Definitely kept the promise, especially in episode 7, more so than episode 6, but wow. All right, so let's just get into the summary of it. Basically, we're starting off with Todo recommending Yuji to be a first-class grade sorcerer. Not a special grade, but a first grade, which is a pretty big deal. Forget what her name is, but Todo's playing ping pong with the other person who made a recommendation to recommend Yuji to become a first grade sorcerer with his other classmates. And she mentions, because in my head I'm thinking this is going to be great. We're going to have Yuji and we're going to have Todo like embarking on missions together, absolutely just destroying whatever cursed spirits they come across. But like, no, I guess the rule is you can't embark on missions with the sorcerer that you recommended to be a first class sorcerer, first grade sorcerer. So I don't know why that's a thing, but apparently it is. So I don't know, something tells me that we're going to see Todo and Yuji fighting a cursed spirit again, regardless of what the higher ups want. Then you get kind of later into the episode and it looks like there's some girl who used to not be cute, and her name's Ozawa, and she was crushing on Yuji back when he was at high school prior to becoming a sorcerer, and he was like the only one that was nice to her, and he said that he really liked her, or not that he really liked her, but a couple of his friends at school were just like, hey, if you had to like date any girl here, what girl would you date? And he's like, I'm not really interested in that right now. And they're like, come on, just give us an answer, man. And so he's like, if I had to pick one, I guess I'd pick Ozawa. And they're like, what? They're like, she's fat. And Ozawa was, like round in the past, but she's since, I guess, bettered herself a lot, exercised, dieted, that kind of stuff to improve herself, because she realized that being stagnant in like her own way and not wanting to improve, that she was kind of living by the ideals and the thought processes of all the people around her that she might have otherwise been judging. I don't know. I don't know that character too well. And so now she's really good looking. And Yuji really doesn't treat her any differently. That's probably a good thing, though, because she's probably equally as good looking to him now as she was back then. He mentioned that he really liked the way that she ate and the way that she wrote. And that got me thinking, I don't know if it is the way someone eats that is attractive, or if it's just the lack of them eating like an absolute hog that is refreshing. Imagine you're sitting across from a girl, at lunch or something like that, and she just starts eating like an absolute like mad lad, just going in on her plate, not barely even chewing her food. Like, you're gonna be thrown off by that a little bit. You're not gonna be able to unsee that. And apparently that's a big deal to Yuji, so that's one of the reasons that he likes her. And then also like her handwriting, like I said, when a girl has really nice handwriting, it's kind of expected for a girl to have nice handwriting, but it's kind of like with eating. When they have bad handwriting, it's kind of like, ugh. But apparently she has really good handwriting. Apparently that's what Yuji's into. So, hey, maybe there's something there. Fast forward, and it looks like some of the higher ups at the school are concerned that there might be a mole within the school that are giving information to, the bad guys, basically. Forgive me, some of my faction and name recognition with Jujutsu Kaisen's not as good as like it is with other anime, because this is just my second season watching it. I didn't even watch season 1 when it first came out. I think I just started watching season 1. I think I finished season 1, at the beginning of this year. So almost, a year after it originally came out. But I really like it. I've already watched season 1. I'm all the way caught up to season 2. And then I watched the catch-up movie, basically, with Yuta and Gato and all that stuff. Shout out my boy Gato. Gato's a boss. I don't care what you say. Even though anyways, no spoilers here. The higher ups have kind of pinpointed that the only person that it could possibly be that's ratting them out to the bad guy is Muta. And this is because of his heavenly pact to be able to project or control puppets within the entire radius of that of Japan, apparently. I'm not sure if it expands further than that, or if he can move that radius if he himself moves, But basically, he can control puppets within the entirety of Japan, which we see him do with his, I think it's Mechama is what it's called. And so they close in on Muta's location. They open the door and the room's empty. They thought he was there. I don't know why they would think that he was there. I don't know if maybe he had to close or register his location for the school for safety purposes. I'm not sure, but basically it's in some sketchy room of a parking garage, but he wasn't there. But then we see who is actually at Muta's location, and it's Geto and Mahito. And as a result of the heavenly pact that Muta has, his body's deformed. He's pretty crippled. He has to constantly be on life support. His body's covered in bandages, very frail skin. This is why he uses the puppets. Mahito and Geto show up, and it's tough to keep up with all this stuff because it's kind of like Naruto, but it's a little bit different. Basically, they have a pact with him. I don't know what kind of pact it's called, but it's an actual legit like pact backed with, Jujutsu or cursed energy. I'm not sure. But basically, if they don't hold up their end of the bargain with Muta, because Muta gave them the information that they wanted about Jujutsu High, something terrible will happen to Mahito and Geto. And Geto's explaining that to Mahito after Mahito entertains the idea of potentially betraying Muta. And Geto's like, no. He's like, a pact within yourself is different if you betray it. If you take a pact within yourself, which who knows what that entails, if you betray it, you lose the ability that the pact granted you, and that's that. But if you form a pact with someone else and you break that pact, something terrible happens to you, but you never know what it's going to be. And so it's like, do you want to take that risk or do you just want to hold up your end of the bargain? Which Mahito's end of the bargain for Muta, after giving them the information, was to use his curse technique, since Mahito is a special grade, he can use curse techniques, to heal and fix Muta. And so things got a little bit difficult to follow, but I think basically what Geto was saying was like, hold up your end of the bargain, and then we can kill him. Or if maybe Muta had always intended on trying to kill these guys and they didn't know it once Mahito healed him. But Mahito walks over to Muta, puts his hand on Muta's head, and, he does his idol transfiguration. And it heals Muta. And Muta, he's got both of his limbs now, whereas before he was missing his right hand from like the mid forearm up. And he can actually walk and run and all this good stuff. And the moment he is healed, shit hits the fan. Muta immediately basically breaks into the ground, like underground, destroying kind of like the room, parking garage, almost like area that they're in. And Geto and Mahito have to retreat to basically the top of like some concrete bridge. And then out of nowhere, Muta emerges this giant mech, this giant mech, Gundam-like Zorg, if you will, that is in the shape, in my opinion, it looked very reminiscent of that of, do you want to take a guess? Rika, Yuta's cursed spirit. And I don't know if there's any tie-in between Yuta and Muta. I don't know. Their names sound familiar. Maybe that's it. And he's in this massive, giant mech robot, and it's on like Donkey Kong. I mean, he just starts attacking Mahito. But he becomes very aware of the fact that as soon as this happens, he realizes that Geto's already set up a barrier. And no communication can get out, and no communication can get in. And Muta has to try really hard. Like, his goal here is to not defeat Mahito. His goal here is not to defeat Geto. His goal is to try and break this barrier or get out of this barrier so that he can notify Gojo. That's the goal. But first he has to deal with Mahito, who's right in front of him. So he starts fighting Mahito, and in the beginning it seems like he has a pretty good chance against Mahito. Mahito, I promise you, was definitely like, he didn't wake up this morning thinking he was going to have to fight a giant robot, but he does a really good job with his transformations, dodging the attacks of Muta, but Muta gets in some pretty decent hits and really does end up hurting Mahito pretty badly. He just absolutely like curb stomps him in the air pretty much, which I know that doesn't make sense, but that's what he does. And several different energy blasts, and I'm not exactly sure how Muta's curse technique works. I don't know if this was specific to his technique or the robot, but basically he had almost 17 years worth of cursed energy stored up in this robot. And so each time he does an attack, he allocates a certain amount of time of cursed energy to this attack. So, you know, he'll be like, you know, 5 years, and then it'll blast, and then it'll, you know, do damage to Mahito. There was a moment in the episode where it actually seemed like Mahito was going to be defeated, and you can even see Geto kind of pondering. He's like, like, this might be an opportunity for me to get involved. He doesn't say for me to get involved, but he said, this might be the opportunity I get, ... So whatever that means, I took that as get involved. But at the last minute, Muta all of a sudden is stopped as Mahito enacts a special grade curse technique called, I think it's idle transfiguration, and it's like perfect imagery or something like that. And basically he opens his mouth. Basically he opens his mouth, and there's a bunch of different hands in his mouth making like signs and shit, like not Naruto, but making signs. And all of these hands come out of nowhere, and they lock in just like space-time continuum hands all around Muta. And the mech slams down on the ground. Mahito uses idle transfiguration again, which basically what this domain is that he just enacted makes it to where he doesn't need to be touching the individual in order for his curse technique to work. Whereas before, he actually needed to touch someone in order for him to be able to mutilate them or transform them or shape them or what have you. So he does this technique, and Muta's robot comes crashing down. But as Mahito's walking away, the robot shut off, his wires are cut in the back, all this stuff you think he's done for. Turns out Muta activated a trump card, which is activating his own domain called Simple Domain. And I forget how many years of cursed energy it took for him to be able to use this. But he ends up negating Mahito's domain. So you have a domain within a domain. Like, try to follow me here. This is why it's tough to kind of like follow with Jujutsu Kaisen kind of. He activates Simple Domain, which is a domain that renders all other techniques, all other curse energy inusable. And he stabs Mahito through the chest with his like robot's sword, and it's looking like Muta is the victor of the battle. And then he's starting to look at Geto because he's got one more Simple Domain technique left that he can use with the amount of curse energy time that he has. And he wants to use it on Geto. Once it's used on Geto, Geto's force field comes down, barrier comes down, and then he can activate, you know, communication to Gojo and get reinforcements or escape, that kind of thing. But then at the last second, in typical anime fashion, right before he's about to activate the Simple Domain and attack Geto, which Geto's not even sweating, he's just standing there, not lifting a finger, Mahito pierces him through the mech suit into his neck, and it's implied that Muta's lost the battle. To what degree has he lost the battle? Like, is he dead? I'm not sure. I have read ahead in the manga, but I haven't read anything about Muta specifically. Most of my stuff has been about, like, Geto and Satoru Gojo. So, this episode, for sure, I have to give a solid... I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. I don't want to be lame and give it a 10 out of 10 because, I mean, that's a perfect score, and I feel like this season has a lot more to show to us. So, being that it's a 9 out of 10, I'm giving it that score because I do think it's probably the most intense fight that we've seen in all of Jujutsu Kaisen. I mean, there's been some pretty good fights. Geto versus Yuta was pretty good. Todo and Yuji versus Hanami was pretty good, but I think this is the best fight so far. Let me know what you guys think in the comment sections down below. I'm going to be doing a lot more anime review stuff, not just Jujutsu Kaisen, not just video games. I just kind of want to use this channel as a place where we can all kind of hang out, review, talk about this kind of stuff, and share each other's thoughts and opinions. If you like this video, if you like this kind of content, please hit the subscribe button. Trying to hit 500 subscribers, brand new YouTuber, growing pretty quick. Figured you guys might like this video, so let me know in the comment section down below. Otherwise, hope you all have a great day.